There it goes. It's on YouTube. Go ahead.
Okay, we're ready?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. My name is James Malcolm. I'm the chair of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency. As you are well aware, due to COVID-19 pandemic, the agency is holding this public hearing by remote access or Zoom. Given the number of people attending this public hearing and the issues relating to technology, before we get started this evening, I'm going to ask our remote access host, Rose Woodward, to review our operating rules for conducting of this public hearing. Rose, please proceed.
As the host, I've muted everyone's lines, as you know, so that we can keep background noise to a minimum. All participants can enter and leave the public hearing at their convenience. If anyone has any problems, you can use the chat feature or call the following phone number, 845-338-4444. When we get to the public comment section of the public hearing, please indicate that you want to make a comment by noting so in the chat section of the program. We will recognize you in order. We will turn off your mute, ask you to make your comments, and then move on to the next person. Note that as you are recognized, you should give your full name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you have joined the public hearing via your cell phone or landline, you will need to send us an email at info@ulstercountyida.com indicating that you want to make a public comment. Lastly, we want to make clear that the agency will be holding the public comment period open for 2 weeks following this evening's public hearing. So if for any reason you are not able to make a comment tonight, there will be an opportunity to provide written comments following the public hearing. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start off as we normally do with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The mission statement of the agency is the following. The mission of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency is to advance the job opportunities, general prosperity, and long-term economic vitality of Ulster County residents by targeting tax incentives, bonds, and other assistance to foster creation and attraction of new business and the retention and expansion of existing businesses. Rose, would you like to introduce board members who are present and staff, please?
Sure. So the only board member present right now is our chair, James Malcolm. I'm here as the agency CEO and staff, and Joseph Scott, our agency counsel from Hodgson Russ, is here as well.
Okay. So listen, I have to read this chapter and verse. It's kind of dry. I asked Joe to take the parentheses and everything else out. So if you know me, I'm a bullet point kind of guy, but I will acquiesce. So good evening. My name is James Malcolm. I'm the chair of the Ulster County IDA in connection with the project, which is a subject of this public hearing. Today, we are holding this public hearing to allow citizens to make a statement for the record relating to the involvement of the agency with a project for the benefit of RBW Studios, LLC, a state of Delaware limited liability company. The proposed project consists of the following. The acquisition of an interest in an approximately 14.5-acre parcel of land located at 521 Boyce's Lane in the town of Ulster, Ulster County, New York, together with an approximately 100,000 square foot building located thereon. The reconstruction and renovation of the facility and the acquisition and installation therein and thereon of certain machinery, equipment, and other personal property. And the equipment being collectively referred to as the project. All of the foregoing to be owned and operated by the company as a production and manufacturing facility and any other directly and indirectly related activities. The granting of certain financial assistance within the meaning of Section 854, paragraph 14 of the Act, with respect to the foregoing, including potential exemptions from certain sales and use taxes, real property taxes, real estate transfer taxes, and mortgage recording taxes, or sale of the project facility to the company or other such persons as may be designated by the company, and agreed further that the company would most likely be eligible for a similar exemption under section 485-B of the real property tax law. Such exemption is available without the involvement of the agency and without any requirement to complete the project and to maintain job levels. Lastly, the 15-year pilot structure does not provide any abatement to the company for special district changes such as water or sewer charges. I'm sorry, I should have been special district charges. I apologize. The company is responsible for paying the full amount of such charges. Finally, under the IDA documents, the company will be subject to recapture of the financial assistance upon the occurrence of certain recapture events. Examples of recapture events include the failure to complete the proposed project and make the promised investment and maintenance of promised job levels. Legal authorization and powers of the agency. That last paragraph, just for clarification, referred to clawbacks. The provisions of Chapter 1030 of the laws of 1969 of New York, constituting Title I of Article 18-A of the General Municipal Law, Chapter 24 of the Consolidated Laws of New York as amended, and Chapter 787 of the 1976 Laws of New York as amended, constituting Section 923 of said General Municipal Law, authorizing the agency to promote, develop, encourage, and assist in acquiring, constructing, reconstructing, improving, maintaining, and equipping and furnishing of manufacturing, warehousing, research, commercial, and industrial facilities, among others. The purpose of this public hearing pursuant to Section 859-A, Paragraph 2 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York, prior to the agency providing any financial assistance as defined in the Act of more than $100,000 to any project. The agency, among other things, must hold a public hearing pursuant to Section 859-A of the Act with respect to said project. Since the proposed financial assistance to be provided by the agency with respect to the proposed project may exceed $100,000, then prior to providing any financial assistance as defined in the Act of more than $100,000 to the proposed project, the agency must hold a public hearing on the nature and location of the project facility and the proposed financial assistance to be provided by the agency with respect to the proposed project. After consideration of the application received from the company, the members of the agency adopted a resolution on March 17th, 2021, authorizing the agency to conduct this public hearing with respect to the proposed project pursuant to Section 859-A, Paragraph 2 of the Act. By way of background, notice of this public hearing was published on March 26, 2021 in the Daily Freeman, a newspaper of general circulation available to residents of the town of Ulster, Ulster County, New York. In addition, as required by New York law, the notice of this public hearing was mailed on March 26, 2021 to the town supervisor of the town of Ulster, chairman of the county legislature of Ulster County, and the superintendent and the Board of Education president of the Kingston City School District. Lastly, copies of the public hearing notice were posted on March 26, 2021 on a public bulletin board located at 1 Town Hall Drive in the town of Ulster, Ulster County, New York, and posted on March 26, 2021 on the agency's website. Copies of the notice of this public hearing are available on the agency's website. Now, unless there's any objection, I'm going to suggest waiving, oh, I think I lost the page here. I will now ask if there's anyone attending the public hearing who wishes to comment on either the nature and location of the project facility or the proposed financial assistance being contemplated by the agency with respect to the proposed project. For the record, please state your name and indicate your comments on either proposed project or the proposed financial assistance being contemplated by the agency with respect to the proposed project. Something seems to be missing here. I seem to be missing a page.
On mine, it was,
Okay,
you were at the
because
top
I
of
had no
page
page
7.
breaks when I printed it. So if someone could pick up
Where it was?
after that sentence, now unless there's any objection, I'm going to suggest waiving the full.
can
I
do that.
don't know where that leaves us, because this is what I printed, is what I got.
Okay.
Let me go back in, see if I have something here. I apologize, folks. It's not very professional on our end.
I have it here.
I should
If you
say.
want,
Yeah,
if you want me to start, I can start, Chair. And I've been drinking water, so my
Oh,
vocal
please,
cords,
feel free.
my vocal cords are nice and moist, and I can finish this up for you.
Yes, go ahead. That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest waiving the full reading of the notice of this public hearing and instead request that the full text of the notice of public hearing be inserted into the record of this public hearing. The comments received today at this public hearing will be presented to the members of the agency at or prior to the meeting at which the members of the agency will consider whether to approve the undertaking of the proposed project by the agency and the granting by the agency of any financial assistance in excess of $100,000 with respect to the proposed project. The agency currently intends to consider the comments received this evening regarding the proposed project at a meeting later this month. Correct, Rose? This meeting, like all meetings of the agency, is open to the public.
Okay, I picked it up at this point.
Okay, great.
Written comments start, Joe.
There you
The
go,
notice
sir.
of this public hearing indicated that written comments could be addressed to Rose Woodworth, the Chief Executive Officer of the agency. We have not received any written comment prior to this public hearing to be included in the public record. Remarks by the company. I will now introduce Charles Brill, who is appearing on behalf of the company, who will describe the proposed project in further detail. And I have to apologize. It must have been a glitch somehow in my printer or whatever, but it's certainly not indicative of a mistake made by our admins or a professional. So that one's on me. All right, so I'm going to open up the public hearing and Charles Brill can make his comments.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity for considering our application for the Ulster County IDA. Myself, Charles, and my two business partners, Theo and Alex, are present, and we're pleased to talk about the potential project that is located at 521 Boise's Lane. It's an existing building that a majority of it has remained vacant for many, many years, and it's our ambition to purchase the building, renovate the structure, and improve the energy efficiency of the building, and relocate our design and manufacturing business as its headquarters. And the property is 98,000 square feet, of which we have allocated approximately 60,000 square feet for warehousing, assembly, and research and development labs and open office spaces. There are some existing tenants that will remain in the space, and we intend to keep the existing tenants in the space for the foreseeable future. The majority of the costs are interior renovation, renovation of the floors, the lighting, and reconfiguring some of the walls and offices and so forth. Beyond that, the primary maybe line items in the project outside of general construction is that we have slated to include a solar array to help reduce the overall energy, to overall increase the energy efficiency of the building, as well as repair or replace a portion or a section of the roof or all of the roof potentially to increase its longevity. And we also are
Charles froze. Yep, go
Yeah.
ahead, Theo.
Well, I think just to further those comments, we're making considerable improvements to reduce our carbon footprint at the building site.
Is that it for the company's position and what they want to say?
Well, I'm hoping that if we give Charles another minute, he will reappear.
I got a quick question. Maybe you can help me out with it. The existing leases that are in place, what are we looking at? How far out are those leases?
I know that they are multi-year leases, and we intend to keep them.
Okay, now again, here's my question. How far out are the leases? I mean, do they have evergreens attached to them? Do they roll over? Can you put somebody out just because you want to put them out? It's nice to create an atmosphere and a business, but I don't want,
Hello, sorry about that.
yeah, just hold your thought for a second, Charles. Just
Do
hold
what
your
you,
thought for
I
a
lost my
second,
train of
Charles.
thought a little bit. Theo, did you want to add anything else?
I just tried to pick up with, we are making improvements to reduce our carbon footprint of the property.
So now
And-
you're, hold on a second, Theo. Charles, now you're there. I had a question about the existing leases. How far out are the existing leases?
I believe they're less than 5 years. They're not a long term, but most of those tenants have renewed, I believe, more than once. So there's no need, there's no expectation that they would want to relocate
No,
anytime
I'm
soon.
not worried about them wanting to relocate. I'm worried about you wanting to relocate them. Is it a typical evergreen kind of thing? Do they have to, each party have to give each other notice? Within no more than 90, no less than 60 days, that kind of thing?
For the renewal.
How many people are employed in that facility and under those leases right now? General
That's a
idea.
great question. I could definitely ask them, but
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head how many people are employed there.
Yeah, no, I just, for my own edification, I wanted to have an idea of what kind of employment's in there. And I assume, no reason for me not to assume that you'll be quote unquote good landlords. But if your business, and hopefully your business expands to the point where you have to say to them, look, it's our building, so you're gonna have to do what you gotta do at that point. So it just,
Yeah, the
curiosity.
good news on that side is that there is an additional 25,000 square feet that is vacant.
okay.
So we would probably, if we were going to expand, we would take over that additional vacant space before having the paid tenants be asked to.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cloud the proceedings. I just thought about it as it came up, and I wasn't aware, that there was
It's
several
hurt.
businesses in there still operating. So
10% is being leased to Ulster County. So it's not another business that would lose its space. And then 10% of it is to Conic DDSO. And then the other tenant is just for the parking lot space, and that's Bernie Bus.
okay, so there's 2 public sector.
Right. But no office for Bernie Bus.
Okay.
No, just parking.
All right. Well, listen, you know what? We get all kinds of questions, and it's good for us to be able to answer them in some fashion or form. Thank you. Apologize.
Could I add just one comment to you that might be helpful context? Is just that the portion of the building which will be occupying initially already represents a pretty substantial increase in square footage from our current facility. So it should, see us through, I would say, a significant period of growth just on its own.
Good. As I said before, and I'm not hiding it. This is one of the good projects. The kind of project that at IDAs and counties and municipal IDAs they should go out and search for, and it basically kind of fell in our lap. So you're not going to have a bigger set of cheerleaders than you would with this board. But to move on. Yeah, you guys have anything else you want to add? No?
Only maybe I could just talk a little bit about the timeline of the project.
Sure.
We have commitment letters for financing with Ulster Savings Bank, and they're partnering with the SBA to offer financing for the construction. And I'm not certain how common or if this is a unique circumstance, but the project would have most likely a 6 to 8 month construction window before we actually move in. But that would hopefully start, barring successful future approval of this IDA. I believe the bank and the SBA would be prepared to close on the building in the month of May.
Well, that's something to applaud. The fact that you're utilizing a local institution for financing. I would then urge you to look around and find out local contractors who employ local people for your construction, people who pay, you know, an area type standard. Because again, you guys are the shining star. You came in here and it looks good. So we talk about a community benefit, and that's something that we're working towards. And just by virtue of utilizing Ulster savings for your finance, and to me, that's something that incentivizes. So it's good stuff. It's good
Hey,
stuff.
Jim, this
Yes,
is
sir, Counsel.
like, one thing we'll have to do too is coordinate with Charles and his team, and their real estate attorney for the purchase is a fellow named Stephen Fursker, a very good lawyer, who's done good work that I've seen so far, but we will have to coordinate the timing too. Similar to what we did, Joe, with Holiday Inn. You know, that was an SBA, IDA, and I think it may have been Ulster Savings Bank again too. So we'll have to coordinate that with respect to the mortgage tax and things like that.
Well, it's good that they got, you know, local feet on the ground. People such as yourself can always help them, you know, help the client, the applicant through the process. So anything else from RWB or no?
I think that's it, unless anyone has questions for me regarding any of the information.
Charles, less is more, Charles. Less is
Okay.
more. Counsel, you have anything you want to add on either end, on our end or Mr. Moriello?
No,
Okay, that being the case, I'll now open the public hearing for public comment at 7:25 PM. Please follow the operating rules described at the beginning of the public hearing, namely indicate, Rose, why don't you read all that?
Namely indicate by the chat program that you want to make a public comment. We will recognize you in order. We will unmute your line and then you can make your comments. Please begin your comments by stating your name and address for the record. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes so that all those present today may have a chance to comment for the record. If your comments mirror those of someone who has already spoken, you may so indicate and then relinquish your time to another speaker so that all views represented at this hearing may be heard. When everyone has had the opportunity to speak, I will conclude this public hearing. A record of this public hearing will be prepared and reviewed by the members of the agency in connection with the agency's consideration of the proposed project. In order to ensure that the public has adequate time to provide comments to the agency on this proposed project, the agency will hold the comment period for this proposed project open until 5 p.m. April 20th, 2021. All comments received by the close of business on April 20, 2021 will be included in the official record of the agency with respect to the proposed project. Again, the purpose of this public hearing is to solicit public comment. We are not here to answer questions. However, we will, in the course of this public hearing, consider questions if we have the information to answer the questions and there is sufficient time to consider such questions. I will now ask if there is anyone attending the public hearing who wishes to comment on either the nature and location of the project facility or the proposed financial assistance being contemplated by the agency with respect to the proposed project. For the record, please state your name and indicate your comments on either the proposed project or the proposed financial assistance being contemplated by the agency with respect to the proposed project.
Okay, do we have anyone with any public comment on the project? Basically, we got to stay open for another 15 minutes, correct? Okay,
It's 15 more, Joe?
We started at, actually, we
7?
started at 7, right?
Yes,
Yes.
so we're good?
Yeah, let's go to 7:30 and then we're good.
Okay.
Rose, you don't have any evidence of anyone trying to get on, right? That hasn't
No,
been.
nobody's in the waiting room and I've checked my emails multiple times.
Great.
well, I'm going to ask Charles Brill if he has anything else he'd like to say on behalf of the company.
Nothing to add other than I support the project.
So there you go. I asked you, and now I'm going to conclude close the meeting. I'll remind you all that the agency will hold the comment period for this proposed project open until 5 p.m. April 20th, 2021. All comments received by the close of business on April 20th, 2021 will be included in the official record of the agency with respect to the proposed project. Further, the meeting at which the agency will formally consider the comments received regarding the proposed project at a later meeting of the agency. The meeting, like all meetings of the agency, is open to the public, so I will now close the public hearing at 7:30 p.m. Thank you all for attending. That wasn't so painful,
you.
was it? We're good?
We're good. Erin, can you stop recording and stop the live stream, please?